What if I told you that you've already won, that the struggle you perceive is merely an illusion, a trick of the mind? Pause for a moment and let that sink in. Consider the possibility that right now, in this very instant, you are exactly where you need to be, having already achieved everything you've ever desired. It sounds absurd, doesn't it? After all, we are conditioned to believe that life is a constant struggle, a relentless pursuit of goals and achievements. We're taught that success lies somewhere in the future, always just out of reach, perpetually eluding our grasp. But what if this belief itself is the very thing holding us back? Let's embark on a journey together. One that will challenge your perceptions and perhaps even transform the way you view your existence. We'll dive deep into the nature of reality, exploring how our mindset shapes our experiences and examining the trap of constantly chasing future goals. Picture, if you will, a hamster on a wheel. It runs and runs, expending enormous energy, convinced that it's making progress, but in reality it's going nowhere. Are we so different in our daily lives? We chase after promotions, relationships, material possessions, always believing that once we attain them, we'll finally be happy, finally be successful. What if a radical farce? What if we are already there? What if the happiness and success we seek are not destinations to be reached, but states of being we can embody right now? Consider the nature of reality itself. Our perception of the world is not a direct experience of what's out there, but rather a construction of our minds. Our brains take in sensory information and create a model of reality that we then interpret as the external world. But this model is just that, a model. It's influenced by our beliefs, our past experience, our cultural condition. If our perception of reality is so malleable, so dependent on our internal processes, then doesn't it stand to reason that our perception of struggle and achievement is equally flexible? Think about a time when you were fully engrossed in an activity you loved. Perhaps you were playing music, painting, or even just having a deep conversation with a friend. In those moments, did you feel any sense of struggle? Were you worried about achieving some future goal? Or were you simply present, fully alive in the moment, experiencing a sense of flow and fulfillment? Those moments of flow, of complete presence, offer us a glimpse into a different way of being. They show us that it's possible to exist without the constant nagging feeling that we need to be somewhere else, doing something else, being someone else. But why is it so hard to maintain this state of presence? This feeling of having already won? The answer lies in the way our minds have been conditioned to operate. From a young age, we're taught to orient ourselves towards the future. We're asked what we want to be when we grow up, encouraged to set goals, to strive for better grades, better jobs, better lives. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with having aspirations, this constant future orientation can blind us to the richness of the present moment. We become so fixated on what we lack, on what we haven't yet achieved, that we fail to appreciate what we already have. We're like fish swimming in an ocean, desperately seeking water, unaware that we're already immersed in it. This future orientation creates a perpetual state of lack. No matter what we achieve, there's always something more to strive for. We get the promotion we've been working towards, only to immediately start thinking about the next rung on the career ladder. We buy the house we've been saving for, only to start planning renovations or dreaming of a bigger property. It's a never-ending cycle. A game that can't be won because the goalposts are always moving. And in playing this game, we miss out on the joy and fulfillment available to us right now. But what if we could break free from this cycle? But if we could shift our perspective and see that we've already won? Imagine for a moment that your life is a movie and you're watching it in a theater. You're so engrossed in the plot, so identified with the main character, that you've forgotten you're watching a movie. You feel every struggle, every setback, every moment of doubt and fear as if it were really happening. But then, suddenly, you remember that you're sitting in a theater, that what you're watching is just a movie. How would that change your experience? Would the struggles on screen seem as daunting? as all-consuming? Or would you be able to appreciate them as part of the story, perhaps even finding enjoyment in the drama and tension? This is the shift in perspective I'm inviting you to consider. What if you could step back from the drama of your life and see it as a story that's already been written? What if you could trust that? No matter what challenges arise, you're exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn. This doesn't mean becoming passive or accepting injustice. Rather, it's about approaching life with a sense of ease and flow, trusting in your inherent ability to handle whatever comes your way. Think about the times in your life when you faced challenges that seemed insurmountable. In the moment, they may have felt overwhelming, impossible to overcome. But you're here now, aren't you? You made it through. And in retrospect, those challenges often turn out to be the experiences that shaped you, that made you stronger and wiser. What if you could bring that retrospective wisdom into the present moment? What if, instead of seeing current challenges as obstacles to be overcome, you could view them as opportunities for growth and self-discovery? This is what it means to act like you've already won. It's about approaching life with confidence and trust, knowing that you have within you everything you need to navigate whatever comes your way. But this isn't just about positive thinking or wishful daydreaming. It's about fundamentally shifting your relationship with reality itself. Consider for a moment the concept of time. We tend to think of time as a linear progression from past to future, with the present as a fleeting moment in between. But what if this model of time is just another illusion, another construct of our minds? Physicists tell us that at the quantum level, time behaves very differently from our everyday experience. There are theories suggesting that all moments, past, present, and future, exist simultaneously in a kind of eternal now. If this is true, then in a very real sense, you have already won. The future you're striving for, the success you're chasing, it already exists. You're already there. The only thing separating you from that reality is your perception, your belief in the illusion of linear time and struggle. This might sound abstract, even esoteric, but the implications for how we live our lives are profound. If we can truly internalize this understanding, it changes everything. Imagine approaching a challenging situation, a job interview, a difficult conversation, a creative project, with the unshakable knowing that you've already succeeded. How would that change your behavior? How would it affect your confidence, your creativity, your ability to respond to unexpected development? This isn't about denying the reality of challenges or the need for effort. It's about changing your relationship to those challenges and that effort. It's about moving from a place of fear and lack to a place of confidence and abundance. When you act like you've already won, you tap into a wellspring of creativity and resilience that's always been within you. You stop second-guessing yourself, stop holding back out of fear of failure. You become fully present, fully engaged with the task at hand, because you're no longer distracted by worries about the future or regrets about the past. This state of being fully present, confident, and at ease is not only more enjoyable, it's also more effective when you're not constrained by fear and self-doubt. When you're not constantly questioning whether you're good enough or whether you'll succeed, you're free to bring your full capabilities to bear on whatever you're doing. But how do we make this shift? How do we move from a mindset of struggle and lack to one of abundance and victory? It begins with awareness. Start paying attention to the stories you tell yourself about your life, about your capabilities, about what's possible. Notice how often your thoughts are focused on the future, on what you need to do or achieve to be happy or successful. Notice the underlying assumption that you're somehow incomplete as you are, that you need to become something other than what you already are. And as you become aware of these patterns of thought, you can begin to question them. Are they really true? Or are they just habitual ways of thinking that you've adopted without really examining them? This is where the real work begins. It's not easy to challenge beliefs that have been with us for so long. It can feel uncomfortable, even frightening. But it's in this discomfort that growth happens. Start small. In your day-to-day life, look for opportunities to act as if you've already won. When you're faced with a challenge, instead of immediately going into problem-solving mode, take a moment to center yourself. Remind yourself that you have within you everything you need to handle this situation. Approach each task, each interaction, each moment with the confidence of someone who knows they're exactly where they need to be, doing exactly what they need to be doing. Notice how this changes your experience, how it affects your interactions with others, how it influences the outcomes of your efforts. Over time, as you practice this new way of being, you may find that the illusion of struggle begins to dissolve. You may discover a new sense of ease and flow in your life, a deeper appreciation for the present moment, a greater trust in your own capabilities and in the unfolding of your life. Remember, the idea that you've already won isn't about denying the existence of challenges or the need for effort. It's about changing your relationship to those challenges and that effort. It's about recognizing that the real victory isn't in some future achievement, but in how you show up in each moment of your life. As we conclude this exploration of the illusion of struggle, I invite you to carry this question with you. What would change in your life if you truly believed in every cell of your being that you've already won? How would you move through the world differently? What new possibilities might open up for you? In our next segment, we'll delve deeper into what it means to embrace this present victory, exploring how we can redefine success and achievement, tap into the power of genuine confidence and self-assurance, and live in alignment with our true nature. But for now, I encourage you to sit with this idea, to play with it in your daily life, and to notice what shifts begin to occur as you adopt this new perspective. As we delve deeper into the concept of acting like you've already won, let's pause for a moment and reflect. What does victory truly mean to you? Is it a destination, a finish line you're racing towards? Or could it be something more immediate, more profound? Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe deeply. Feel the air entering your lungs, nourishing every cell in your body. Feel the ground beneath you supporting you. In this moment, are you not alive? Are you not experiencing the miracle of existence? Is this not in itself a kind of victory? This is where we begin our journey into embracing the present victory. It's a radical shift in perspective, one that challenges our conventional notions of success and achievement. We've been conditioned to believe that victory is always in the future, always just out of reach. But what if the greatest victory is simply being fully present in this moment, fully alive to the experience of being you? Consider the absurdity of our usual approach to life. We spend our days chasing after goals, believing that once we achieve them, we'll finally be happy, finally be successful. We say to ourselves, once I get that promotion, then I'll be content. Or when I find the perfect relationship, then I'll be fulfilled. Have you noticed how this moment of satisfaction, this promised land of achievement, always seems to recede into the distance as soon as we approach it? It's like trying to chase the horizon. No matter how fast you run, it always remains just out of reach. And in this endless pursuit, we miss the beauty of the landscape we're running through. We miss the present moment, the only moment in which life actually happens. But what if we could flip this script? What if, instead of constantly striving for some future state of victory, we could recognize the victory inherent in each moment? This is what it means to embrace the present victory. Now I can almost hear the objections forming in your mind. But don't we need goals? Don't we need to strive for improvement? And yes, of course, having aspirations and working towards improvement can be valuable. But there's a crucial difference between moving through life with purpose and grace and frantically chasing after an ever-receding finish line. When we embrace the present victory, we're not giving up on growth or achievement. Rather, we are changing our relationship to the process of growth. Instead of seeing our current self as lacking, as somehow insufficient, we recognize the inherent wholeness and completeness of who we are right now. From this place of self-acceptance and self-recognition, We can still move towards our goals, but we do so from a place of abundance rather than lack. We're no longer driven by a desperate need to prove our worth or fill some perceived void in ourselves. Instead, we engage in life from a place of fullness, of joy, of appreciation for the genius. This shift in perspective changes everything. When we act as if we've already won, we tap into a wellspring of confidence and creativity that's always been within us. Think about it. How do you behave when you're absolutely certain of success? How do you carry yourself? How do you interact with others? There's an ease, a flow, a natural charisma that comes from this state of being. You're not second-guessing yourself or holding back out of fear. You're fully present, fully engaged, bringing your whole self to each moment. Where's the beautiful paradox? When we approach life from this place of present victory, we often find that external achievements come more easily. It's not that we're trying harder or pushing ourselves more. Rather, it's that we've removed the internal obstacles, the self-doubt, the anxiety, the desperate need for validation that were holding us back. But how do we make this shift? How do we move from a mindset of constant striving to one of present victory? It begins with redefining what success and achievement mean to us. In our society, we've been taught to measure success in external terms. Money, status, possessions. But think about the moments in your life when you felt truly successful, truly victorious. Were they necessarily the moments when you achieved some external goal? Or were they the moments when you felt fully alive, fully yourself, fully connected to the world around you? True success, true victory, is not about accumulating more or becoming someone different. It's about fully inhabiting who you are, about bringing your unique gifts and perspective to the world. It's about being so deeply in touch with your own nature that naturally express the best of yourself in each moment. This is what it means to live in alignment with your true nature. It's not about forcing yourself to be something you're not. It's about peeling away the layers of conditioning, the false beliefs and limiting stories, to reveal the authentic self that's always been there. When you live from this place of authenticity, you naturally exude confidence and self-assurance. But this isn't the brush, aggressive confidence that's often celebrated in our culture. It's a quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing who you are and being comfortable in your own skin. Think of a master musician or a skilled craftsperson. When they're engrossed in their work, they're not constantly questioning themselves or worrying about whether they're good enough. They're simply expressing their skill, their creativity, their essence through their chosen medium. This is the kind of confidence I'm talking about, not a confidence based on comparing yourself to others or meeting external standards, but a confidence that arises naturally when you're in harmony with yourself and your environment. But how do we cultivate this kind of confidence? How do we tap into this sense of present victory? It begins with presence. Start by bringing your full attention to this moment. Notice the sensations in your body, the thoughts passing through your mind, the sounds and sights around you. As you do this, you may notice how much of your mental energy is usually devoted to rehashing the past or anticipating the future. But life only ever happens in this moment. As you practice this presence, you may start to notice something remarkable. The more fully you inhabit the present moment, the more you realize that there's nothing lacking, nothing missing. In this moment, you are complete. You are whole. You have already won. This doesn't mean that everything in your life is perfect or that there's no room for growth. But it means that your fundamental okayness, your fundamental worthiness isn't dependent on achieving some future goal or becoming some idealized version of yourself. You're already that. You've already won. From this place of present victory, you can engage with life in a whole new way. Instead of constantly evaluating yourself, judging whether you're measuring up, you can pour yourself fully into each activity. Each interaction, not because you're trying to prove something or achieve something, but simply for the joy of self-expression. Imagine approaching your work this way. Instead of anxiously trying to impress your boss or outperform your colleagues, you simply bring your full self to each task. You engage with curiosity, with creativity, with the natural desire to do good work that's inherent in all of us. when we're not clouded by fear and self-doubt. Or imagine approaching your relationships this way. Instead of trying to be who you think others want you to be, or constantly seeking validation and approval, you simply show up as your authentic self. You listen deeply. You express yourself honestly. You allow yourself to be vulnerable. From this place of self-acceptance and present victory, you create space for genuine connection and intimacy. This way of being fully present, fully yourself, embracing the victory of each moment, is not just more fulfilling, it's also paradoxically more effective in achieving those external goals that we so often fixate on. When you're not constrained by fear and self-doubt, when you're not wasting energy on self-judgment and second-guessing, you free up enormous resources of creativity and resilience. You become like a river flowing naturally towards the sea. You're not fighting against yourself or pushing unnaturally. You're simply allowing your innate talents and desires to express themselves. And just as the river inevitably reaches the sea, you find yourself naturally moving towards your goals, often with less struggle and more joy than you ever thought possible. But embracing this present victory isn't always easy. We've been deeply conditioned to believe in struggle, to believe that we need to fight and strive to be worthy. Shifting out of this mindset can feel uncomfortable, even scary. We might worry that if we accept ourselves as we are, if we embrace the victory of the present moment, we'll lose our drive, our ambition. But this fear is based on a misunderstanding. Embracing the present victory doesn't mean becoming complacent or giving up on growth. Rather, it allows for a more organic, joyful kind of growth. Instead of growing because you feel you have to, because you believe you're not good enough as you are. You grow simply because growth is the natural state of all living things. You grow because it's joyful to express more and more of your potential, not because you're trying to fix some perceived deficiency. Think of a tree. It doesn't strain or struggle to grow. It doesn't berate itself for not being tall enough or not having enough leaves. It simply reaches towards the sun, extends its roots into the earth, and allows its natural processes of growth to unfold. And yet, over time, it becomes magnificent. This is the kind of growth that becomes possible when we embrace the present victory. As we practice this new way of being, we may find that our whole relationship with life begins to shift. Instead of seeing life as a series of problems to be solved or obstacles to be overcome, we begin to see it as a grand adventure, a magnificent play in which we have the privilege of participating. We stop taking ourselves so seriously. We learn to laugh at our mistakes, to find humor in our struggles. We develop a lightness of being that allows us to dance with life rather than fighting against it. And as we embrace this present victory, as we learn to act as if we've already won, we may find that our very presence becomes a gift to those around us. Our ease, our authenticity, our joy becomes contagious. We give others permission to embrace their own present victory, to recognize their own inherent wholeness and worthiness. This is how we begin to change the world. Not through striving and struggling, not through trying to force change from the outside, but by embodying a new way of being. By acting as if we've already won, we create a field of possibility around us. We become living demonstrations of what's possible when we step out of the illusion of struggle and into the reality of present victory. As we conclude this exploration of embracing the present victory, I invite you to experiment with this way of being in your daily life. Notice the moments when you slip into old patterns of striving and self-judgment. And in those moments, see if you can shift your perspective. Can you recognize the victory inherent in simply being alive, in being who you are in this moment? Remember, this isn't about perfection. It's not about maintaining a constant state of blissful presence. It's about gradually, gently shifting your center of gravity from a place of lack and struggle to a place of abundance and ease. In our next segment, we'll explore how this understanding of present victory allows us to transcend the game of life altogether. We'll delve into the profound interconnectedness of all things and discover how living from this place of present victory can bring a deep sense of joy and purpose to every aspect of our lives. But for now, I encourage you to sit with this idea of present victory. Allow it to percolate through your being. And notice what begins to shift as you embrace the radical notion that you've already won. As we venture deeper into the realm of acting as if we've already won, we find ourselves at the threshold of a profound realization. What if the game of life, with all its perceived struggles and victories, is itself an illusion? What if, in recognizing the interconnectedness of all things, we could transcend this game altogether? Where do you end and the world begins? Is there a clear boundary between you and everything else? Or is this separation just another construct of our minds, another part of the game we've been playing in our exploration of embracing the present victory? We touched upon the idea of living in alignment with our true nature. Now let's expand this concept further. What if our true nature extends far beyond the confines of our individual selves? What if, at the deepest level, we are not separate entities struggling against the world, but integral parts of a vast interconnected whole? This isn't mere philosophical speculation. Modern physics tells us that at the quantum level, particles that appear separate are actually intimately connected, influencing each other instantaneously across vast distances. Ecologists remind us that every living being is part of an intricate web of life, each individual inextricably linked to the whole ecosystem. Even our bodies, which we think of as distinctly us, are home to trillions of microorganisms without which we couldn't survive. In light of this interconnectedness, the idea of individual struggle begins to seem absurd. It's as if your left hand declared war on your right hand, or if your heart decided to compete against your lungs. When we truly grasp our fundamental unity with all of existence, the game of life as we've known it, with its winners and losers, its struggles and victories, begins to dissolve. This realization doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent. On the contrary, it can infuse our actions with a new sense of purpose and joy. When we recognize our connection to all things, we naturally want to act in ways that benefit the whole. Our actions become less about personal gain and more about expressing our true nature, about playing our unique part in the cosmic dance of existence. Think about those moments in your life when you felt most alive, most fulfilled. Perhaps it was when you were creating something beautiful or helping someone in need or experiencing a moment of deep connection with another person or with nature. In those moments, weren't you transcending your usual sense of separate self? Weren't you, in a sense, forgetting yourself and merging with something larger? This is what it means to transcend the game of life. It's about shifting our center of gravity from the narrow confines of the ego to the vast expanse of our true interconnected nature. It's about recognizing that we are not just players in the game, but the game itself, the players, and the field on which it's played. But how do we bring this lofty philosophical understanding into our daily lives? How do we embody this transcendent perspective in a world that seems to constantly reinforce our sense of separation and struggle? It begins with awareness. Start paying attention to the moments in your day when you feel separate, when you feel like you're struggling against the world or other people. Notice the thoughts and emotions that arise in these moments. Are they not based on a fundamental assumption of separation? Of me against them or me against them? Then, see if you can shift your perspective. Instead of saying the person or situation you're struggling with is separate from you, can you recognize your fundamental connection? Can you see how, at a deeper level, you are part of the same whole? This doesn't mean you have to agree with everyone or accept every situation. But it does mean approaching disagreements and challenges from a place of underlying unity rather than fundamental separation. It means recognizing that the person you're in conflict with is in a very real sense another aspect of yourself. As you practice this shift in perspective, you may find that your actions naturally become more harmonious, more aligned with the good of the whole. You may find yourself responding to challenges with more creativity and less reactivity. You may discover a new sense of ease and flow in your life. As you stop fighting against the current of existence and learn to move with it. This is where we begin to find true joy and purpose in the journey itself, rather than constantly striving for some future goal. When we recognize our interconnectedness, every interaction, every experience becomes an opportunity to express our true nature, to play our part in the cosmic symphony. Imagine approaching your work this way. Instead of seeing it as a means to an end, as something you have to do to make money or achieve status, you see it as an opportunity to express your unique gifts, to contribute to the whole in your own special way. How would this change your experience of work? How might it affect the quality of what you produce? Or consider your relationships. When you truly grasp your interconnectedness with others, empathy and compassion arise naturally. You recognize that their joy is your joy, their pain is your pain. This doesn't mean you become a doormat or neglect your own needs. Rather, it means you approach relationships from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, of cooperation rather than competition. Even the most mundane activities can be transformed by this perspective. Washing dishes becomes an act of caring for your environment and, by extension, yourself. Waiting in traffic becomes an opportunity to practice patience and to remember your connection to all the other beings around you, each on their own journey. This shift in perspective, from seeing life as a game to be one to recognizing it as an interconnected dance in which we're all participating, can bring a profound sense of peace and fulfillment. The constant anxiety of trying to get ahead, of comparing ourselves to others, begins to fade. We start to find joy, not in outdoing others or accumulating more, but in fully being ourselves and appreciating the magnificent complexity of existence. Let's be clear. Transcending the game of life doesn't mean withdrawing from the world or becoming passive. On the contrary, it often leads to more engaged, more effective action. When we're not caught up in our own drama, when we're not driven by fear and the need to prove ourselves, we become more clear-sighted, more capable of responding skillfully to the needs of the moment. Think of the great change makers throughout history. The most effective ones didn't act from a place of anger or opposition, but from a deep recognition of our shared humanity. They transcended the apparent divisions of their time and spoke to our common essence. In doing so, they were able to inspire profound changes in consciousness and in society. You too have this potential. As you embrace your interconnectedness, as you transcend the illusion of the separate self, you may find that you have access to wisdom and capabilities beyond what you previously imagined. You may find yourself naturally inspired to act in ways that contribute to the greater good, not out of duty or obligation, but simply because it's a joyful expression of your true nature. This is where we find the deepest, most sustainable form of motivation. We are no longer driven by fear of failure or the need for external validation. Instead, we're moved by an inner impulse to express our essence, to play our unique part in the cosmic game. This is the kind of motivation that doesn't lead to burnout or disillusionment. Of course, shifting to this perspective isn't always easy. We've been deeply conditioned to see ourselves as separate, to believe in the reality of the game. Old habits of thought and emotion will arise. You may find yourself slipping back into patterns of struggle and separation. That's okay. Remember, transcending the game doesn't mean never experiencing difficulty or challenge. It means relating to those experiences differently. When you notice yourself getting caught up in the game, again in the drama of me versus the world, don't judge yourself. Instead, see if you can observe these thoughts and feelings with curiosity and compassion. Can you recognize them as old patterns? As part of the game you're now learning to transcend. This ability to observe our thoughts and emotions without getting completely identified with them is itself a powerful step in transcending the game. It helps us realize that we are not our thoughts, not our emotions, but the awareness in which all these experiences arise. This awareness, this consciousness, is what connects us to everything else. As you cultivate this awareness, you may start to notice something remarkable. The more you let go of your attachment to winning the game, the The more you embrace your interconnectedness with all things, the more life seems to flow effortlessly. It's not that challenges disappear, but your relationship to them changes. You begin to trust in the unfolding of life, to recognize that even difficulties are part of the magnificent tapestry of existence. This trust, this deep okayness with whatever arises, is the essence of acting like you've already won. It's not about achieving some particular outcome, but about recognizing that you are already complete, already an integral part of the grand symphony of existence. From this place of trust and wholeness, you can engage with life more fully, more authentically than ever before. You can take risks, not because you're certain of the outcome, but because you know that whatever happens, it's all part of the dance. You can express yourself more freely, more creatively, because you're no longer constrained by the fear of failure or the need for approval. This is true freedom. Not the freedom to control everything in your life, but the freedom to be fully yourself, to play your unique part in the cosmic game with joy and abandon. As we come to the end of our exploration, I invite you to take a moment to feel into this perspective. Can you sense, even for a moment, your fundamental connectedness to all things? Can you feel the freedom that comes from recognizing that you've already won simply by virtue of being a unique expression of the cosmos? Carry this feeling with you as you go about your day. Notice how it influences your interactions, your decisions, your experience of life. And remember, this isn't about achieving some perfect state of enlightenment. It's about gradually, gently shifting your center of gravity from the limited perspective of the separate self to the expansive awareness of your true, interconnected nature. You've already won. You've always been winning. The aim was never real to begin with. And in recognizing this and embracing your interconnectedness with all of life, you open yourself to a level of joy, freedom, and fulfillment beyond anything the game could offer. So go forth not as a player struggling to win, but as a unique and beautiful expression of the cosmic dance. Trust in your inherent completeness. Act from your deepest, most authentic self, and watch as life unfolds in ways more magnificent than you could have imagined. Remember, every moment is an opportunity to recognize your victory, to embrace your interconnectedness, to transcend the game. The choice is always yours. And in making that choice again and again, you not only transform your own life, but contribute to the awakening of the entire world. Thank you for embarking on this journey of exploration and realization. May you continue to discover the depths of your true nature, the vastness of your interconnection with all things, and the joy of living from the understanding that you have indeed already won.